There are funny sitcom characters, and then there's Phoebe Buffay, a woman so unpredictable, so completely disconnected from normal human logic that every single scene she enters instantly becomes chaos. And honestly, that's exactly why she became one of the most unforgettable characters in sitcom history. Because while everyone else in Friends was busy acting like normal adults trying to survive life in New York, Phoebe was out here, inventing fake identities, screaming at trees, threatening casino workers, destroying the French language, and somehow still being the emotional heart of the group. This compilation perfectly shows why Phoebe wasn't just comic relief, she was pure controlled insanity. And the scary part? Half the time, she actually made sense. The video opens with one of the funniest examples of Phoebe trying to function in the real world, acting, and immediately, disaster. The director gives her the easiest possible task in human history. Carry the tray from point A to point B. That's it. No emotional monologue, no action sequence, no dramatic crying scene. Just walk. And somehow Phoebe treats it like she's performing brain surgery during a hostage situation. What makes this scene brilliant is how Joey suddenly becomes this overdramatic acting coach trying to convince her that Nurse with Tray is the most important role in cinematic history, because if she doesn't carry the tray, people die. And Phoebe actually believes him. That's the magic of their friendship. Joey is dumb enough to invent ridiculous acting logic, and Phoebe is weird enough to fully commit to it. And when she finally screams, "I did it, I nailed it," before realizing the scene literally just started. That's classic Phoebe energy, complete confidence, zero awareness. And honestly, that combination never fails to be funny. Then the episode immediately switches into another iconic Phoebe trait, her inability to survive normal jobs. The telemarketing scene is one of the greatest examples of why Phoebe could never function in corporate America. The job is simple, sell toner. But Phoebe's brain instantly short-circuits when she asks the most important question possible. What is toner? That line perfectly summarizes her character. She'll confidently do something she doesn't understand without questioning it until the absolute last second. And the funniest part? She's weirdly honest. Most people fake confidence at jobs. Phoebe openly admits she has no idea what's happening. That honesty somehow makes her lovable instead of annoying. And that's why audiences connected with her so much, because underneath all the chaos, Phoebe never pretended to be someone she wasn't. Now, one of the funniest running themes in this compilation is Phoebe becoming obsessed with tiny meaningless responsibilities, like the party cups. Only Phoebe could turn being in charge of cups and ice into a full artistic project. Cup hats, cup chandeliers, cup banners. Meanwhile, Monica is trying to host an actual adult event, and Phoebe is basically running a kindergarten craft station. But that's the brilliance of her character. Phoebe approaches life with the imagination of a child. Everything becomes an adventure, even cups. And then comes one of the most legendary Phoebe moments ever, the casino scene. This woman finds a thumb in a soda can and somehow ends up becoming a gambling addict 5 minutes later. That entire sequence feels like a fever dream. Phoebe screaming, "I won. I finally won," while throwing a toe away like garbage, is the exact kind of unhinged comedy that made her different from every sitcom character at the time. And then she transforms into Regina Phalange. Honestly, Regina Phalange deserves her own spin-off show, because Phoebe creating fake identities is one of the greatest recurring jokes in Friends history. The confidence she has while saying, "My name is Regina Phalange. I'm a businesswoman in town on business," is unbelievable. She sounds like someone who learned human behavior by secretly observing people from behind bushes. Nothing she says sounds real, but somehow she commits so hard that people almost believe her. That's what made Lisa Kudrow's performance genius. Most actors would play Phoebe as just quirky, but Lisa played her with total sincerity. Phoebe never thinks she's being weird, and that's exactly why it works. Then the video hits one of the most emotional Phoebe moments, the bike scene with Ross. And this is where Friends always became stronger than other sitcoms, because underneath the jokes, there was genuine heart. Phoebe revealing she never had a bike as a child instantly changes the tone. You suddenly remember, this character had an incredibly difficult life. Homelessness, family trauma, isolation, and yet somehow, she became the happiest person in the group. That contrast is what made Phoebe special. Ross teaching her to ride the bike becomes more than just comedy. It's healing. It's Phoebe finally getting a childhood moment she never had. And yes, the scene where Ross secretly lets go of the bike is hilarious. You swore, but underneath the joke is something genuinely sweet. For once, someone believed she could do something before she did. That's why this storyline still works emotionally all these years later. Now let's talk about the cookie episode, because this might be Phoebe logic. She spends days trying to recreate a secret family recipe, only to discover it's literally just a Nestlé Toll House recipe. And the way she pronounces it, Nestlé to lose. Absolute perfection. This is classic Friends writing. The joke works on multiple levels. Phoebe thinking it's ancient family magic, Monica taking it way too seriously, and the audience slowly realizing the truth before they do. That's sitcom comedy done right. And honestly, Phoebe believing her grandmother is definitely in hell is one of the darkest jokes the show ever slid in so casually. That's another reason Phoebe stood out. Her humor was weirdly dark compared to the others. She'd say something deeply disturbing and then smile like she just complimented the weather. Then there's a French lesson scene with Joey, which honestly might be one of the funniest scenes in all of Friends, because Joey somehow invents an entirely new language. J de flipply blue. That's not French. That's a man having a stroke near a baguette. And Phoebe slowly losing her sanity trying to teach him is comedy gold. gold, especially because Joey genuinely believes he's doing amazing. But once again, Phoebe ends up rescuing him with another fake identity. Regina Phalange. Not Regina. Regine. At this point, even she forgot the lore. And somehow she convinces the casting director that Joey speaks a regional French dialect. That scene is pure nonsense. And somehow it's perfect. Then we get one of the greatest name change storylines ever. Princess Consuela Bananahammock. Only Phoebe could legally rename herself something that sounds like a rejected carnival mascot. And Mike responding by changing his name to Crap Bag proves exactly why they worked as a couple. Most people tried to survive Phoebe. Mike matched her insanity. That's why fans love them together. He didn't try to fix her. He just joined the chaos. And honestly, Think of a Bag of Crap might be one of the funniest introductions in sitcom history. But beyond the jokes, this compilation reminds you why Phoebe mattered so much to Friends. Every sitcom group needs balance. Ross was neurotic. Monica was controlling. Rachel was evolving. Chandler used sarcasm to hide insecurity. Joey was lovable stupidity. But Phoebe represented freedom. She didn't care about social rules. She didn't care about looking stupid. She didn't care about fitting in. And secretly, that's what made her the happiest character. She survived trauma without becoming bitter. She stayed kind without becoming naive. And she stayed weird in a world constantly trying to force people to act normal. That's why Phoebe Buffay still feels unique even decades later. Most sitcom characters are funny because they react to situations. Phoebe was funny because she existed. Every sentence felt dangerous. You never knew if she was about to sing about dead animals, expose someone's secrets, create a fake identity, threaten a stranger, or accidentally reveal horrifying childhood trauma. And somehow, all of it worked. That's incredibly hard to write, and even harder to perform, which is why Lisa Kudrow deserves enormous credit. Without her performance, Phoebe could have easily become annoying. Instead, she became iconic. And honestly, no matter how many years pass, there will never be another sitcom character quite like Phoebe Buffay.